We use our hands for, well, almost everything, don't we? Writing, building things, comforting someone, even showing anger with a clenched fist.
They really are central to how we interact with the world, and
Yeah.
maybe how we interact with ourselves, too.
Exactly. They're so expressive. You can often tell someone's mood just by looking at their hands, right?
Mhm.
Fidgeting, tension.
Absolutely. And that deep link between our hands and our inner state, that's something ancient traditions really keyed into.
Which is what we're diving into today. We've got sources here, neuroscientists, dancers, yogis, all talking about how this innate power of the hands was, like, formalized, turned into a language.
A precise language, yes. We're talking about mudras. And the material suggests this isn't just symbolism. It's described as a complete language in itself.
Wow. And a language that can be used for, well, self-care, for well-being, bypassing the thinking brain, almost.
That's the idea. The sources frame it as a practical technology. Our mission today is to unpack how these hand positions, these hasta mudras, work, how they manage energy, support healing, and even open up spiritual awareness. So let's start with the word itself, mudra. In Sanskrit, the basic meaning is attitude or gesture, sometimes seal. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, attitude or seal. That makes sense.
But, when you dig into the classical text, it gets deeper. Mudra can also refer to this ecstatic state, like sealing yourself into non-duality, this feeling of union with something bigger.
Union, okay. And these gestures, they pop up in different places in India, don't they? Not just one single practice.
Right. Our sources highlight three main traditional areas. First, yoga practice, using them as seals to direct prana, the life force. Second, in rituals, often linked to specific deities or, invoking particular energies.
Makes sense for rituals.
And third, and this is huge, in classical Indian dance and drama. Here they're all about expression, telling stories, conveying really subtle emotions.
It's amazing how modern science is kind of catching up to this ancient idea. The sources mention neuroscience, right? About touch screens.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
There's this concern that our constant repetitive tapping and swiping is actually depriving us of the evolutionary use of our hands as tools of the mind.
Depriving us, that sounds serious. Leading to depression, even.
Some researchers suggest a link, yeah.
Yeah.
And mudras, well, they're the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
They deliberately strengthen that connection. Hand, mind, and even the heart, the emotional center.
Okay, so there's a physical and maybe psychological benefit, but there's a whole cosmology behind it too, isn't there? The elements.
Absolutely fundamental.
Yeah.
The Panchamahabhuta, the five great elements. It's the lens through which Indian tradition views the cosmos and, crucially, ourselves.
5 elements, and these map onto our hands. How does that work?
It's quite precise, actually, developed over centuries of, observation and practice. Each finger corresponds to an element.
Okay, lay it out for us. Which finger is which element?
So the thumb is fire Agni. The index finger, that's air or Vayu.
Thumb fire, index air. Got it.
Middle finger is ether, or space Akasha. The ring finger is earth Prithvi.
Middle space, ring earth.
And finally, the little finger is water bus.
Wow. Fire, air, ether, earth, water, all right there in your hand. A mini universe.
Exactly. And the core idea is that any imbalance in us, whether it's physical illness or mental distress, it's seen as too much or too little of one or more of these elements, these Buddhas.
So if I'm feeling, say, really scattered, maybe that's too much air.
That could be one interpretation, yes.
Hmm.
And mudras then become this system, this technology for consciously influencing those elements, for bringing them back into balance.
All right, so we've got the blueprint, the elements mapped to the fingers. How do we actually use this for, like, self-healing? In Hatha Yoga, you mentioned they're called seals or locks.
Yes, precisely. The idea is they seal or direct the flow of prana, that vital energy, within the body's subtle channels.
And there are different kinds of mudras in yoga.
Oh, yes. There are 5 main classes mentioned in the texts: hasta, hand; mana, head; kaya, postural; bandha lock; and ara, perineal. But we're focusing on hasta mudras, the hand gestures.
Why the focus on hand mudras?
Well, partly because they're the most numerous, but also they're generally the easiest to learn and the safest for people to explore on their own, for self-practice.
Okay, practical and safe. So if someone listening wants to try this elemental balancing, what's the basic principle? How do you balance, say, the water element?
The simplest and safest method, the one primarily used for bringing an element into harmony, is just joining the tip of the thumb, which is fire, remember, with the tip of the finger corresponding to the element you want to balance.
Tip to tip.
Tip to tip. So for water, you gently touch the tip of your thumb to the tip of your little finger. For air, thumb tip to index fingertip. That's the core balancing practice.
That seems really accessible, just touching fingertips. But the sources go deeper, right? They talk about increasing or decreasing elements too.
They do. The traditional system gets quite specific. To dunify or increase an element, the thumb touches the base of that element's finger.
Thumb to the base increases it? Okay.
And to sedate or decrease an element, the thumb gently covers that finger. For example, covering the middle finger with the thumb is Shunya Mudra, said to sedate the ether space element, which can benefit hearing issues.
Covering sedates it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. So balancing is tip to tip, increasing is thumb to base, decreasing is thumb over finger. But you'd recommend starting with just balancing.
Absolutely. Tip-a-tip is the foundational harmonizing practice. The others are more for specific therapeutic applications, often guided.
Now, there was one mudra mentioned that sounds pretty dramatic, the life-saving gesture. Mitsam Javani Mudra. Tell us about that one.
Yes. It's also known as Apana Vayu Mudra. And traditionally, it was recommended almost like immediate first aid you could give yourself if you were experiencing acute heart issues, like symptoms of a heart attack.
Wow, first aid. That shows incredible trust in the technique. How do you do it? Can you describe the hand position?
It's very specific. You bring the tip of your index finger down to touch the base of your thumb.
Index finger to thumb base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you bring the tips of your middle finger and your ring finger to gently touch the tip of your thumb.
Middle and ring tips join the thumb tip.
Correct. And the little finger stays extended straight out.
Index at base, middle ring at tip, pinky out. Got it. And this is meant to help the heart instantly.
That's the traditional claim, that it can help regulate heart function and blood pressure very quickly in an emergency situation. It's quite remarkable.
It really is. And what about Garuda Mudra II, named after that mythical bird? Sounds powerful.
It is associated with power, yes. Garuda, Vishnu's eagle mount. This mudra is often linked to the Manipura chakra, the energy center at the solar plexus. It's said to increase digestive fire, boost vitality, even sharpen intelligence.
Digestive fire, intelligence, any other legendary benefits?
Well, according to lore, it could offer protection against venom, like snake bites, and generally build a strong internal capacity for self-healing. It connects you to that fierce, protective, vital energy of Garuda.
Okay, so we've seen mudras as this internal technology for healing and energy management in yoga. But now let's shift gears. How are they used externally for expression in classical Indian dance?
It's a beautiful transition, isn't it? From the subtle inner work to the visible art form. In dance, these gestures, often called hastas, are the absolute core of abhinaya.
Abhinaya, that means expression, right? Dramatic expression.
Exactly. They're used to tell complex stories, embody different characters, convey abstract ideas, and, crucially, express the whole spectrum of human emotion and relationships.
So while the dancer's feet might be keeping the rhythm,
the hands are doing the talking, or rather the singing, the emoting. They're seen as the most potent body part for getting the meaning and feeling across.
And it's not just about making shapes, is it? There's something about how the gesture is formed.
Oh, absolutely key. The sources emphasize that the movement initiates from the wrist. It's not a big muscular arm movement. It's articulated delicately from the wrist, allowing the energy, the bhava or feeling, to flow from the dancer's core right out through the fingertips.
From the wrist into the core. That makes it sound deeply embodied.
It has to be. For the expression to be authentic and reach the audience, the dancer has to feel it. And that wrist articulation is part of the technique for achieving that depth.
There's that incredible verse you mentioned from the Abhinaya Darpana text that explains this whole process, doesn't it? The link between hand, eye, mind, and feeling.
Yes, it's a foundational teaching for dancers. It goes, yato hastas tato drishti.
Let's break that down, where the hand goes.
The eyes follow. Yato drishti's tato mana,
Right.
where the eyes go.
The mind follows, the awareness focuses.
Yato manas tato bhavo, where the mind is.
Mood or emotion, bhava, is created.
Yato bhavas tato rasa. And once that emotion is established,
sentiment, rasa, arises. That aesthetic flavor the audience experiences. Wow, it's like a complete chain reaction for conveying feeling.
it is. It shows how the gesture isn't just decorative. It's the engine of the emotional and narrative experience, both for the performer and the viewer.
And this is what distinguishes the purely technical dance, nritta, from the storytelling dance, nritya.
Precisely. Nritta might be about pure rhythm and beautiful forms, but nritya is where the hastas come alive to tell the story and evoke the rasa.
It's amazing to think that a gesture many of us use every day, putting our palms together, is actually the starting point in this incredibly complex system, Anjali Mudra.
Yes, the gesture of greeting, prayer, or salutation. It's the absolute basic gesture of humility, respect, and offering. And in the dance text, it's listed as the very first of the 24 samyutta hasas, or joint hand gestures, the foundation upon which all the other expressions are built.
What really strikes me is that even though the application is different, internal energy work in yoga, external storytelling in dance, the underlying goal seems shared. Both paths use mudras aiming for some kind of transformation or awakening, right?
That's a key insight, I think. Whether you're sealing prana or expressing tava, the ultimate aim often circles back to self-awareness, connecting with something deeper, moving towards, well, liberation or enlightenment in those traditions.
And it's not confined just to Hindu traditions either, is it? These gestures seem to resonate much more broadly.
Oh, absolutely. The universality is quite striking when you start looking. Think about Jainism, that iconic image of the Jain hand with the wheel in the palm and the word ahimsa, nonviolence. The hand itself is often shown in Abhaya Mudra.
Abhaya Mudra, the gesture of fearlessness. Fear not.
Exactly. A powerful symbol of protection and reassurance, central to Jain philosophy.
And you see echoes in other major religions too.
Definitely. If you look at traditional iconography of, say, Jesus Christ giving a blessing, the hand posture he often uses, it strongly resembles Prana Mudra from yoga, or maybe Ardhapataka Mudra from dance fingers pointing up. Offer the ring and little fingers bent down.
Huh. I never thought of it that way.
Or depictions of Mother Mary, often with her palms facing slightly forward, open, receptive. It carries a feeling similar to Virata Mudra, the gesture of granting boons or bestowing blessings.
That's fascinating. It suggests these aren't arbitrary signs, but maybe tap into something fundamentally human.
It seems that way. And even the term itself in Vajrayana Buddhism, one of the highest meditation practices, is called Mahamudra, the Great Seal, referring not just to a hand gesture, but the ultimate state of realization, the indivisibility of emptiness and bliss.
So this is clearly a deep, powerful, and widespread human practice. For someone listening now who's intrigued and maybe wants to try a simple balancing mudra, like the tip-to-tip kind we discussed earlier, what's the basic advice for actually doing it?
Keep it simple and internal. 3 key things. First, be gentle. No straining the fingers, just light contact.
Gentle touch. Got it.
Second, bring your awareness inward. Focus on the sensation in your fingers, the feeling, maybe a subtle sense of energy shifting. It's an internal practice.
Focus inward. Okay.
And third, posture and breath matter. Try to maintain a reasonably erect spine, whether sitting or standing. Keep the chest open and relaxed, and just allow your breath to be natural and smooth. This helps the prana flow freely.
Erect spine, easy breath, gentle touch, inner focus. That sounds doable.
And the beauty is, as the sources point out, you can do them almost anywhere. Sitting at your desk, waiting for a bus, even as you said, on a long flight. They're incredibly portable.
It really is like having a self-care toolkit right at your fingertips, isn't it? No equipment needed.
That's a great way to put it. It's technology you carry with you always. Hashtag outro.
So we've journeyed from the 5 elements mapped onto our fingers to specific yoga techniques for healing, even potentially life-saving ones, and then across to the expressive power of hands telling stories on the dance stage.
It's quite a spectrum, isn't it? From managing basic life energy to communicating the highest artistic and spiritual aspirations.
And the big takeaway seems to be that this is accessible. It's a side-effect-free DIY approach to tapping into our own potential for healing and maybe even growth.
And underlying all of it, whether yoga or dance or these broader connections we saw, is that fundamental human question the traditions grapple with.
Right. How can we be free? How can we be happy?
Exactly. And mudras, in their own way, offer a practical methodology, a technology, aimed squarely at answering that question. By helping us transform, as one source put it, raw life energy into subtle spiritual expression.
So here's